brought to you by Sovereign Extracts. Got to shout out those lads. You can check out a variety of CBD cartridges, THC cartridges, CBD oils, and the like. Also, big shout out to USG Canada. Some great apparel for boxers, MMA fighters, and for fans alike. And on this episode of Bouks Talking Bouts, happy to have a return guest here ahead of a big card, Invicta FC 40, and that is going down on July 2nd. We have a co-main event tilt. Alesha Zappitella taking on Lindsey VanZandt. And I've got Lindsey on the show. How's your day going so far there?
It's going good. I just got done with some wrestling practice, so it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of wondering what the preparations look like ahead of this one, though I imagine with the, rampant nature of the pandemic and everything, and with people doing certain social distancing measures, that preparations have probably changed a little bit for this one. Is that a fair characterization? And if so, what have you kind of done to adjust to the present climate?
Yeah, it's a little weird because of classes and stuff, but I like one-on-one sessions and small groups anyway, so it's all good. And I'm lucky to have my training partners that come up to me, and I go down to them because I got a lot of guys come up from Jersey. So I'm lucky that everybody's really cool with traveling and putting in the work.
Yeah, I was seeing on Instagram you were getting some work with Up Top Martial Arts there. It looked like you were really getting ready and sharpening the tools.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, and I'm also grateful for some gyms letting us do our thing in there, keeping it small, always cleaning up after, staying safe. So, I'm thankful for all those awesome gyms.
Yeah, for sure. And you had quite the busy schedule last year. And, to that point, I'm kind of curious, if this situation up until this point had been, kind of frustrating just with the busy schedule kind of being hindered, like 5 fights in the prior calendar year and this being the first one for 2020. Was there some degree of frustration, or did you kind of keep a positive, kind of optimistic mindset all throughout?
Yeah, I always try to stay positive and stay optimistic, but I also had an injury that I was healing up from, so I would have been able to fight sooner than now anyway. So the scheduling worked out good for me.
Well, it's good you were able to heal up a bit, and I kind of presumed you were, being positive about it, but just thought to ask all the same. I imagine just with the strength of schedule, it could be kind of frustrating, but it was great you had that utility with getting to recover and everything like that. But I'm kind of wondering with the... Yeah, for sure, and I imagine you're, chomping at the bit to get out there, and to that point, I'm kind of curious, what your, thoughts are on your opponent coming up here. Is there any level of tape study going into checking out what they're doing? Is that more so something you allocate to people in your camp and you're kind of just focusing on your own endeavors? How familiar are you with her skill set?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to watch too much. I usually have my coach do that, and they know what to work. And it's not, but I've seen all of her fights. I don't rewatch them. You know what I mean? I know battle. I know what she's good at and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't like to overstudy people. I'm an overthinker, so I like to chill out and just let my coaches do that.
And as far as different regulatory aspects of heading into this event, have you been kind of briefed on that at all? I imagine there's going to be a lot of COVID-19 related testing and different social distancing kind of measures at the event there and stuff like that. Have you been made privy to any of those kind of new added regulatory aspects, or not so much as of yet?
A little bit, yeah. We already took we had to take a survey already. I know that we're gonna have to get tested when we get there. So obviously we're going to get that horrible testing, the thing sticking up our nose and stuff. So I know that's coming. But yeah, I don't know too much after that, but I'm sure we'll have a nice packet to read about it soon.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't look like the most comfortable there, so my heart kind of going out to you a little bit in that regard. I'm sure. Well, I mean, you probably face more pain in the cage, but just the irritation of it more so.
Yeah. Yeah, not excited for that part.
But yeah, something I was also kind of noticing, at least in past fights, you'd kind of been training with, Deanna Bennett and getting that work in, and obviously her being on this upcoming Invicta card as well. Have you gotten to work with Deanna at all for this one, or have some of the modern kind of circumstances with the pandemic kind of gotten in the way of that?
No, man, I'm sad. Yeah, I haven't gotten to work with her. I love her. She's a great wrestler too, so it would have been nice to be able to see her and pick her brain, but I'm so excited we're on the same call. We reached out to each other. We're like, oh my God, we're on the same call. We're so excited, because it's so exciting. I haven't seen her since literally before the new year, because I trained for my fight in Japan, and that was the last time I saw her. And then, because then I got an injury when I got back. So I I had to take time off then. So and then the whole pandemic happened, and forget trying to get to Henzo's, So yeah, so I haven't seen her since 2019. So it sucks, but I'm excited to see her and catch up, and I'm excited for her to do some work,
Yeah, for sure. And Deanna Bennett, great person to talk to. I'm going to be interviewing her a bit later, actually. But you mentioned kind of the timeline of that injury. Like, was that something you'd sustained in training a bit after the last fight you had there with Reina? Like, was it something that was like a residual thing from the fight itself? Like, what was the timeline and like the progression like in that regard?
Yeah, no, I was fine after the fight. It was actually like a freak accident. I also probably because I wasn't in good health. Meaning, I just got done traveling because I lost. I wanted to get right back to training, but I should have took the week off. So I know that now. I shouldn't go right back to training just because my body's not ready. So I went right back to training when I got back, and I tore my MCL. And but I was lucky. I didn't need surgery. It healed on its own, and so I'm doing good. Yeah. So I'm so excited to. It's like a perfect timeline for me to be able to get back right now. It's literally perfect timing because my knee feels great. I had no problems with it. I let it heal. So, but yeah, now I learned my lesson. Don't go right back to training right after you had a flight and you haven't slept that great because you guys, jet lag and everything like that going on. So yeah, learn my lesson now.
Yeah, and getting back to your preferred division for this one, not that you have an aversion to competing higher than the Atomweight limit or at strawweight, but it seems like Atomweight is like the ideal sort of division for you in a lot of regards. What's it like to kind of be competing back at Atomweight there?
I'm excited. Yeah, it's my division. I mean, I'm even on the smaller end of the Atomweight. Like, I'm a small girl. I walk around. When I'm training, I walk around like 111, 112. I don't get that big. Like, I'm small. So it's like, for me to go up, it's hard. But I like challenges, so I don't care. Fight to fight. But yeah, it's nice to be in my weight class for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And yeah, just appreciative of the fact that you were able to allocate a bit of time for this conversation. But a couple things I kind of wanted to cover before we're wrapping up here. Like, I was noticing your sister had a bit of a bakery going on there. Like, what's the situation like that with the whole circumstance now of like certain places not necessarily being open and whatnot? Like, has that business been affected much at all, or is that kind of still going strong with the Katie Rose Bakery?
It's still going strong. Yeah, honestly, we've been really lucky because my sister makes bread, so we were kind of deemed essential. So it was nice that we were able to keep going through all of this. We didn't. That's exactly like what happened was exactly when everything happened. Everything shut down. Basically, we just did orders, so we had the doors shut, but we'd bring orders out, and people could pick up like curbside and stuff like that. So it was a lot of crazy things going on, but it was really just me and my sister because we didn't want to put anybody else at risk that worked for us. So it was kind of like me and my sister holding on the fort like 14, 16-hour days. It was crazy for a while there. And then when things started to calm down and people were able to come back to work and stuff, it was nice because now I'm like, oh, guys, I got a fight coming up. So it was nice. It was good timing because then I was like, all right, guys, I got to train, so I can't be here every day. But, we've been really lucky. Hopewell is a great area. I always like supporting local businesses, so it's been really great. We've been able to keep going and survive all this.
Yeah, and I'm also noticing that the Triple Threat Kitties kind of have their own Instagram page now. Can you kind of talk about that a bit? We got some cute kitties kicking around there from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, that's my babies. I love them so much. They're such good cats. Yeah, they're like my life. I love them. Like home training, they're always there to greet me, and they're the best. So, yeah, I started an Instagram for them because everybody's like, you got to start an Instagram. You got it. And so, yeah, I guess I'm using that for some of my clients, and everybody else is like, yeah, that's so cute. I'm so glad you did it. But, yeah, it's fun. It's all fun. They're cute. They're allowed an Instagram page. So follow that.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, I'm definitely a fan of some adorable kitties, so definitely getting some likes from me in that regard. But I'm kind of curious as to... Oh, yeah, no doubt. But I'm kind of curious with this as well. Like, I mean, even just like a little bit ago from past interviews, you'd kind of mapped out these goals to win titles in Ryzen and Invicta, and it seemed like the Reina rubber match was on your radar. But just with like, the rampant uncertainty, obviously, like, have you had to kind of like, are those still kind of the goals? Is it just a matter of like take things day by day and kind of see how things progress? Like, what's kind of the mentality in that regard? Like, and as far as like the goals and when you want to actualize them into reality?
Oh, yeah, those are always my goals. Those haven't changed. I'm always looking towards them. I'm still climbing that ladder. I got a co-main event now, and hopefully I'll get a title shot next. Or, they do a tournament, whatever they want to do, I'm ready for it. But yeah, I want to be the best. I want to be number one. I want to be the number one athlete in the world. So yeah, it's always been the goal. So I always just, like you said, take it one day at a time, one fight at a time. Just gotta keep focused and keep climbing that ladder.
Is the main focus on the title, or like how would you like I guess weigh the importance of like being part of one of those like Phoenix Rising kind of tournaments? Because that seems like something you're like very much into.
Yeah, I've always like a bucket list thing too. Like I want to fight a couple times in a night. It just seems like a fun time, you know? Because I'm always like after my fights, I'm like I want to go again. And I'm all pumped up and I want to go again. I'm like, what if I'm allowed to do that? Like if they have a tournament, I can fight multiple times in a night, and I just think that'd be fun to do. So yeah, definitely want to do that. But yeah, I mean the title is important and everything, and of course you know you want to be the champ, but I also want to be number one, and you know so it's like. I want to fight the best as well, and whoever was the best in any organization too. So, but yeah, they always wanted to be champ though, and I feel pretty dope.
You know, hopefully they can book that Phoenix Rising tournament. I would presume that would be like the next one, if not like the one right after. So hopefully we see that coming in the future, and I definitely think you'll be part of that bracket there. But I also want to be mindful of your time and everything like that. And to that point, I'm kind of curious if there's anything that you'd like to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up here, Lindsey.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, and I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm pumped up for this fight. I'm thankful for all my training partners. Like I said, it's a hard time for everyone, and, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, and, you know, like I said, you have to take it one day at a time. You don't know, nobody knows nothing about nothing, that's what I say. Like, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, because this is just a crazy time. So, yeah, I'm so thankful to be on this call, to be able to do what I think, keep doing what I love. So, yeah, I just want to thank Invicta, thank Shannon, thank my manager, Sean Rockwell, for following management. I'm just happy to be doing exactly like I said, you know, go for my dreams.
Yeah, it's a great note to end things off on. It's going to be a great fight. The co-main event of Invicta FC 40 goes on July the 2nd. Alesha Zappitella taking on Lindsey VanZandt, an Atomweight attraction that can be checked out via UFC Fight Pass. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to checking that out. And to reiterate, I really appreciate the time there, Lindsey. Best of luck with the remainder of your preparations, and have a great rest of your day as well.
Thank you. You too.